Captain Marvel is the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which may have been bigger than ever after Infinity War, and we haven't gotten an MCU movie since Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I didn't review because I couldn't. How many months ago was that? I don't know. It was since July of 2018, and right now it's March 2019. 19th, yeah. March 2019. Anyways, this is my Captain Marvel review. But before we get started with this review, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you haven't, turn on the notifications, and leave a comment. Sure, there's a lot of controversy going into this movie. There's a side of people saying that it was going to be good, and a side of people saying it was going to be bad. I had high hopes for this, and it didn't disappoint, but it wasn't the greatest thing. I wouldn't call it that high on the ranking list of the MCU movies. But this movie was still really good. It was pretty good. Um, it could have been better, but I thought it was entertaining. Many people seem to dislike Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Uh, I understand why. It's sort of like, yeah, her acting and the actual character don't really go good together, but I think it was passable. Uh, Samuel L. Jackson and Samuel L. Jackson is great, and the de aging on him looks perfect. It looks awesome, and I think it's a fun movie, and it does have problems though, which I'm gonna get into. Yeah, really more on you know the Captain Marvel character. Yeah, it is like undecided with her. You see, like not just her character, more like her powers as well. Like there's what her powers are, and then there's how powerful she is. Basically, the movie is her trying to find out how powerful she is, and basically what her past is, trying to put things together. But the things just sort of get revealed out of complete random at random moments in the movie, and that just sort of bugged me. It sort of made things a bit, a bit weird. This was definitely unusual. Many people say it was bland, though. I wouldn't call it bland. This was like an unusual Marvel movie, as in like this was different. This was very different. Um, yeah, it is still an entertaining movie. I'm not on the side that it's bad. Usually people say like, "Oh, you agree with the critics." Well, that's because I usually review movies the second after I see them, pretty much, and I do not have enough time to reflect on them. This time I had enough time to reflect on it, and I feel like it was a good movie. Um, Another problem I have, I'm gonna spoil something. Um, so if you don't want to hear it, skip ahead. Maybe I'll have the time on, but like this editor is a bit weird with time, so I'll try my best. But um, you're probably wait. Have you skipped? All right, good. If not, here it goes. So that we have a de aging Samuel L. Jackson in this, uh, and two-eyed Nick Fury. Yeah, you're probably wondering how he loses his eye. The way he loses it is bullshit. Like, I would have preferred just nothing to answer the question than for this to be the answer, really. Like, this was bullshit. So, there's a character in the movie, George the Cat. He's probably my favorite character in the movie, to be honest. But he's just really funny. Not that he talks or anything. He's just in the movie. And he's just there. There's a lot of parts in the movie where he. I'm gonna quickly talk about George the Cat. Actually, no, I'll talk about that after this part. George the Cat scratches Nick Fury's eye in sort of a scene that wasn't quite taking itself so seriously a little bit. But like that's how Nick Fury lost his eye. That's why he has an eye patch. Like they could have done anything else and that's why. Oh boy. Alright, now on to George the Cat. George the Cat? Oh boy. Why am I saying George? His name is Goose the Cat. Goose the Cat. Oh boy, he's a lot of fun of a character. Um, yeah, there's this. He even this this might spoil things. I don't know if you can call this a spoiler, but maybe skip this part if you want. But there's a part where he eats the Tesseract. That wasn't a spoiler at all. Yeah, and then like yeah, it's just a lot of. It's just funny. Another thing I liked is that if you wanted an MCU movie, you got one. This one does feel like an MCU movie. I know by like the trailers, it didn't quite seem that way. The trailers, I feel like, sort of didn't do this movie that well. The trailers weren't that great. They didn't show this movie. They didn't show people like what this movie is. It's definitely an MCU movie. And I've heard people say that it's so bland. This is like phase 1 or phase 2, maybe at the very least. No, this is phase 3, definitely. Just this is. I admire this movie because of how different it is. It one of my main problems with it, like probably my biggest problem with it, that I haven't seen anyone talk about, is the movie started off very, very slow. It picked up at a random part of the movie. I'd say it probably picked up right when she got on Earth, but yeah, it was slow before then, and it was slow at other times too. Another thing that I felt like mentioning is that this does take place in the 90s, so this is almost like a MCU prequel movie. It did come after, First Avenger, and I mean like Captain America First Avenger, not to be confused with the first Avengers movie. But this does, you know, uh, it feels like it's a part of the MCU, but it's a part. It takes place in the 90s. All right, and they try to make sure you know that. This is a good thing and a bad thing because I like these sort of references and Easter eggs. But I feel like it was sort of shoved down your throat. Stuff like Blockbuster and Radio Shack and pinball machines, and they had Street Fighter, like a Street Fighter arcade cabinet playing. Uh, at one point, like that's all cool. I like the fact that they included those, but it's almost like we get it. It took place in the 90s. Another thing I feel like I have to talk about are the scrolls. Now, I think that it turns out this is another spoiler, so if I could I'll put the time on the screen, but it turned wait, about to continue, but hope you went on. All right, cool. So the scrolls, in case you don't know, bleh, what am I even saying? In case you don't know, the scrolls are pretty much these aliens that can transform into anybody, really. And, you know, Yeah, I believe you know. So pretty much the main scroll is actually Ben Mendelsohn, which was great that he did good, but it was sort of weird because they were sort of reported and everything to be the main villains of this movie, and you know, it turns out that they were actually innocent. They're just aliens trying to get a home, and you know, it was sort of like, oh, they're the main villains. No, they're not. Haha. That's weird. That sort of was a bit weird for me. And then there sort of wasn't really then a main villain at all. Like what? In conclusion, Captain Marvel is an understandably disappointing, as in I can understand why people are disappointed, yet entertaining and enjoyable movie for me. Of course, it has flaws that you just can't ignore, really, but it is still an enjoyable movie. So, in conclusion, even though I said it had a lot of flaws, you may call this an overscore, but I give Captain Marvel an 8 out of 10. You know, actually, that's being a little too nice, and this is sort of bullshit. I sort of shit on critics who do this, but this gets a 7.9 out of 10, actually, because I wouldn't call it an 8, but it is almost there. So yeah, that's my review. I know I sort of gave it a hypocritical score because, again, I just hate it when critics give games like a 9.9 out of 10 or a movie at like an 8.9 out of 10. Like, just give it the 9 or just give it the 10. You're probably like, just give it the 8. But again, I wouldn't quite call this an 8. It's just 1 point away. Alright, what do you think of this review? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I have a feeling you're not going to agree with me with this. But, do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? Or were you going into this movie, or are you on the side of this movie will suck, or this movie will not suck? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.